This might not be the most well-known city, but it has hosted a big sporting event in the past, and has the sports venues to prove it. So here are the stadiums and arenas of Nagano, Japan. The official name for this arena is Nagano Wakasato Tomokuteki Sports Arena, but the locals decided that was too long to say in a single breath. So we're just going to name it after what it looks like. It looks like a big hat, they call it Big Hat, or Bigu Hato. So hats off to them for simplifying things. This city hosted the 1998 Winter Olympics. I'll get that out of the way early so I don't have to keep mentioning it. And this arena was the home of ice hockey throughout the event. The sport is not all that popular in Japan, so there's no professional team based here nowadays. It seems that almost the entire calendar is filled up with non-sporting events like exhibitions and car shows, as you can see here. That is a very unusual seating layout, come to think of it. Two very small tiers of seating make their way around the arena. It does mean that every seat in the house is right on top of the action though, whether that be sports or sports cars. Nagano Athletic Stadium. Having opened in 1976, this mightn't seem that old, but it is the oldest stadium of note in the city. It's also one of the most rudimentary. For starters, 2/3 of the capacity is coming from the grass berm that wraps its way around three sides of the field. So on a wet day it essentially has a capacity of around 6,000. Because as the old Japanese proverb goes, when rain makes splashy sound, there will be soggy ground. As you can see, it has in the past hosted some elite football, which has clearly been well attended, at least on days when the rain didn't make a splashy sound. But this has well and truly been usurped by a ground they call Nagano U Stadium. Pretty much every stadium with a solitary U in its title is referring to a university, but this one's referring to the U shape of the main structure. Once again, it was a name given to it by the general public, rather than the government who own it. Up until 2015, this was a basic stadium with a capacity of just 6,000. But that was no longer cutting the mustard, or wasabi, I guess. So it was demolished and this metallic clad structure was built in its place. I love the orange and blue interior. It does go well with that metallic facade. Not that you're ever going to be seeing them simultaneously in person. Both Nagano's men's and women's teams play here. The men are in the third tier, whereas the women play in the top tier. So I wouldn't be too surprised if the Sheilas sometimes attract an even larger crowd than the blokes. I think those are the terms they use in Japan, Sheilas and blokes. You are now looking at a stadium through a screen within a stadium. Through a screen within a stadium through your screen. Unless you're watching with a projector on your wall. Ah, you are. Well, never mind then. Nearby is Nagano Olympic Stadium. It's kind of strange that despite having hosted the Winter Olympics, the only venue we've seen with Olympic in the title is used for a summer sport. Although it is the finishing point for the Nagano Olympic Commemorative Marathon, and that exterior has a very Olympic look to it. So fair enough. It's actually supposed to resemble the petals of a flower. And you know, if you disregard the fact that it's made of concrete, then it's basically identical to a cherry blossom or something. Well, actually the team that plays here is called Shinano Grande Rose. So perhaps it's supposed to resemble a daffodil. Either way, I hope the architect is not pushing up daisies, because they did a good job. Okay, enough flower talk. Let's nip it in the bud. The Roses compete in an independent baseball league, which is sort of between semi-professional and professional. Barely professional, we'll call it. Yet they play in a stadium that has a capacity just slightly smaller than Fenway Park. The green monster here is not the outfield wall, but the scoreboard. That's a big boy. White Ring. It's a similar story to the one we started with. The official name is Nagano City Mashima General Sports Arena. It's not exactly white or ring-shaped for that matter. But then again, no, I take that back because it was probably referring to the speed skating track itself. It hosted some of the ice skating at the Olympics, but that was just the short track and figure skating, which take place on a rink, not a ring. I'm putting way too much thought into this. As you can see, nowadays it's non-frozen sports that it hosts most of the time. Primarily the ball of the basket. Specifically a team called the Shinsu Brave Warriors. I quite like this arena. Is it better than the Big Hat? Probably. I love all that exposed concrete throughout the interior. It gives the place a bit of a cold, sterile vibe. In a good way. Honourable mentions now. You can't have a Winter Olympics without a bobsled/luge/skeleton track. This one's called Spiral. I can see why. That looks like such an exhilarating way to break your neck. Aqua Wing Arena is, as its name suggests, an indoor swimming pool that can almost fly. If only it were Aqua Wings Arena. Nagano Prefectural Baseball Stadium was the preeminent ballpark in the city before the Olympic Stadium came along. It's about as basic as it gets. Nagano Sports Park General Ground Gymnasium. You can see why they keep coming up with nicknames when the government gives them names like that. I'm gonna call it White Ring. Oh wait. M-Wave. With a name like that, you might be expecting a wave pool. But no, the floor is solid. It has an M-shaped roof that is also kinda wavy, I suppose. Pretty cool. So there you have it. What an interesting bunch. Time to pick a favourite. You know what, despite the U being superior in every way, I'm gonna go for the brutalist flower, also known as Nagano Olympic Stadium. No, I take that back. Nagano U Stadium's colour scheme gets it over the line. Consider subscribing if you're new around here, and as always, thanks for watching, have a good one.